And whoa, look at Magoo. Magoo streaks into the...
Thorpe's got past Gabors. They lock handlebars as they go through, but Thorpe's done.
Here comes Bradshaw to the outside of Bale. He takes over the number 2 position, and Bradshaw is not done.
Welcome, Motocross History Channel team. Today I wanted to give you a video of some of the highlights of Johnny O'Mara's career since it was recently his birthday. For any of you that don't know, Johnny O'Mara was one of the most dangerous riders from 1980 all the way through to the late 80s, especially when he was on Team Honda. Anytime he lined up at the gate, he was always a threat to win. O'Mara was on multiple Motocross of Nations teams, including the very first one. He also won the 125 National Championship in 1983 and the 250 Supercross Championship in 1984. He was definitely one of the best riders of his time, and he, because of his quiet, unassuming attitude, was also, in my opinion, very underrated. So the following is for Johnny O'Mara. Happy birthday. I also want to dedicate this video, as I said in my video titled New Additions to the Channel. I want to dedicate this video to those that have fallen in the recent conflict. 13 U.S. service members have recently passed away. So I want to dedicate this video to them and to their families who are for sure dealing with a heavy heart due to the tragic losses. Now let's get back more to the action. This one, Johnny O'Mara, this is for you if you're watching, and happy birthday once again. I'm going to give you 3 clips. One is I think one of his best performances on a CR125. Another one is a great performance he had on an RC250. And the third one is, even though it's rare, a really good performance he had on a CR500.
The Team Honda rider from Axton, Virginia took the opening hole shot and has not looked back. He's opened a huge lead over the rest of the field, a field that includes 5 world champions. Johnny O'Mara, meanwhile, is continuing to work his way through the pack, but O'Mara has his work cut out for him. In front of him, David Bailey, of course, in the lead, running in the number 2 position, rider number 42, David Thorpe from England. Gert-Jan van Doren, the Dutch rider, is currently holding down the number 3 position, with George Jobé running 4th. In 5th, it's the Austrian Heinz Kinnegartner, then Håkan Karlqvist, and Johnny O'Mara has worked to the number 7 position. The O-Show in corner number 1 was in the middle of the pack. By the time the first lap was in the books, he had moved all the way to 11th. On the second lap, he was 9th. On the third lap, he'd moved to 8th. And now moving into that number 7 position, and O'Mara is still closing. The O-Show is turning in one of the finest rides of his career. He's doing it on a 125, and he's doing it against the best motocrossers in the world. David Bailey, meanwhile, continues to lead and continues to pull away from the rest of the field. If the Americans are able to hold their positions in Moto number 2, David Bailey will win the 500 class. Johnny O'Mara will again win the 125 class. That will give the Americans 4 first places, and they will wrap up Motocross of Nations with 1 moto remaining. It's an unbelievable performance by the unbelievable American team. And look at this. There's Thorpe in 2nd, Jobé in 3rd, and Johnny O'Mara is right on the rear wheel of Jobé. O'Mara has moved to the number 4 position. Directly in front of him, 2 world champions. Thorpe should press the hill any second, and there he is, rider number 42 from England, Dave Thorpe. There's Jobé, rider number 10 on a Kawasaki, and right behind him is the O-Show. The weight and power differences between 500s and 125s dictate a completely different style of riding. The 500s go into the corner much slower. They come out much harder. The 125s, on the other hand, need to go through the corners with engines revving in order to come out at any kind of speed at all. But despite the 500s slowing him up, O'Mara has been able to stay with the 500s in front of him. He's kept the pressure on George Jobé from Belgium. Here's Thorpe, rider number 42, up over the top of the hill, and Jobé goes down. O'Mara has had the pressure on Jobé, and it's paid off as the O-Show moves into the number 3 position. David Bailey, meanwhile, is putting on a motocross clinic for the spectators. From the middle of the pack on the opening lap, O'Mara caught the world champion George Jobey, who was then running in the number 3 position. He put the pressure on and kept it on. Jobey finally fell and O'Mara went by. He has now caught Thorpe, and O'Mara, with an inside line driving up one of those hills he was talking about, has taken the measure of the world champion 500cc rider David Thorpe from England. And O'Mara has moved into the number 2 position. An incredible ride for the Osho on a 125. David Bailey in the number 1 position has to have heard the tremendous roar of the crowd as O'Mara made that pass. Bailey has got to be wondering what is going on behind him. According to his pit board, he has, with just a couple of laps to go, at least a 20-second lead. Now, Bailey has slowed the pace considerably the last few laps, but he has to wonder now, should he pick it up? Just that. It's Johnny O'Mara, the Osho, with a clear track in front of him, has started to pull away from Thorpe. Bailey is on the last lap of the second moto of the 1986 Motocross Nations, an event that so far has seen complete, total American dominance. O'Mara won the 125 in moto number 1. Johnson won the 250. In moto number 2, O'Mara will duplicate his feat and David Bailey win the 500s. With one moto remaining and a score of 4 points, 1 point for each of the class wins, the American team will have clinched the Motocross Nations. Here's Bailey across the finish line. He takes the checkered flag, and there's O'Mara. What a ride put in by the Osho. That has to have been the best ride of O'Mara's career.
Running in the number 2 position. In third, Danny Storbeck. Fourth, Jeff Hicks. Following this, Stafford. Hannah running 8th. 9th, Cole Brecker. Jim Holly rounding out the top 10. Look out, sir. Continues to pound away and lead. Burnwood in second. Storbeck third. Ward fourth. Hicks fifth. Myers comes to stretch it out. Johnny O'Mara. Burnwood. He's running in second, number 39. Here comes Danny Storbeck in third. Jeff Ward still in fourth. Fifth place, Myers Cobb. 6th, Bob Hanna challenging Myers Cobb for fifth. Look at here. Myers Cobb slams the door. There's the Osho. He's your leader, Johnny O'Mara. Looking now for Burnworth. There's Burnworth. Scott Burnworth. There's Jeff Ward on Burnworth's rear wheel. Here comes Hannah. Ward on the inside. Ward looking for Odegaard. Ward takes over second. Burnworth back to third. Hannah saw that move, so I'll remember that one. Now Ward starting already to put away from Burnworth. Here comes O'Mara. Look at the hair off the tabletop. Jeff Ward continues to pound away. A lap rider in front of him. Now Hannah draws even. Hannah even with Burnworth looking for running room. Watch out. And Johnny O'Mara. Danny Storbeck, the leader, sliding out and has lost a couple of positions. Storbeck back to the number 3 position. O'Mara now leading. Running in the number 2 position is Bailey. Storbeck running third. Ron second to start, is putting on a charge. And Ward has moved right to the rear wheel of Red Johnson. There they are, side by side.